Hi guys, so finally we hear it from the horse's mouth. Boris Johnson proclaimed just after Priti Patel delivered her speech in Rwanda that young men under the age of 40 who arrive in the UK via the Channel will be placed in that country. Most, if not all, are looking at a one-way trip to the African nation. Johnson claimed that this is the result of Brexit, allowing the government to disrupt the work of people smugglers operating in the Channel. But was this the goal of Brexit?
A handshake in the grip of controversy. This formal agreement between Britain and Rwanda is, according to the Home Secretary, a world first in the approach to dealing with asylum seekers. Men and women arriving in the UK by an unofficial route will have their request for sanctuary ruled inadmissible, classed as an illegal migrant, and could be forcibly relocated 4,000 miles south to rebuild their life in East Africa.
We, as two ministers, stand here today absolutely committed to changing some of the norms around the broken global migration system, because for too long other countries, and by the way naysayers, just sit on their hands and have been watching people die.
Okay, first of all, once again, immigration system. What about asylum? What about refugee status? She's talking here about immigration. And this is all obviously for the racists and bigots at home. We're not talking about refugees here. We're talking about immigrants. We need to stop the immigrants. This is her message to the people back home. And obviously this is not going to stop people who are desperate to get to the UK. But there is an immigration problem in the UK at the moment. There aren't enough. We've seen how since Brexit, there aren't enough workers. There aren't enough people working picking fruit or vegetables, working in meat processing. There aren't enough heavy goods vehicle drivers.
The Migration and Economic Development Partnership sees the UK send an initial £120 million for educational projects in Rwanda, in return for the small African state helping deal with what's become a humiliation for ministers who promised to control Britain's borders.
So, once again, this is Tory policy about protecting their reputation, saving face. We need to appear tough. So what we're going to do is we're going to, instead of actually providing, what they'll say is we care about these refugees dying in the sea. In reality, they don't give a crap about them. They care about saving face for the Conservative Party. And they need to keep the racists and bigots happy. And in order to thwart threats from the right, the far right, like UKIP or whatever, they've just absorbed their policies. So they're saying now what we're going to do is we're going to act like UKIP. So the racists and bigots who would probably be sitting on the fence, should I vote Tory or should I vote for someone more extreme? Well, there's no point voting for someone extreme because the Tories have become the extreme party. Isn't it interesting that they're sending refugees and economic migrants and asylum seekers to Rwanda and not to, for example, a country like Canada? Why is that?
Record numbers of asylum seekers arriving across the Channel in small boats.
What's going on here?
The Prime Minister was in Dover today to launch a series of policies designed to show the government getting serious with the problem of people traffickers.
This innovative approach, driven by our shared humanitarian impulse and made possible by Brexit freedoms, will provide safe and legal routes for asylum while disrupting the business model of the gangs.
Disrupting the business model of the gangs. How will this disrupt their model? If people eventually get out of Rwanda, I don't think they're going to be held inside a prison, but if they eventually get out, where are they going to go? They're going to try and get to the UK. Why? Because they have connections in the UK, family, maybe relatives. They speak the language. They don't want to stay in Rwanda. They would prefer to be in the UK. So yes, it may disrupt somewhat, but eventually these people will try to get to the UK again. Now, what you could do is you could provide a safe route for them. arrive in the UK, make their claim, and then if it fails, they're deported. Or if they succeed, they stay in the country and they contribute to society. This idea of let's force them out before they get in is not going to work in the long term. But it's important that we remember that while Boris Johnson mentioned Brexit here, Brexit was never anything racist. Well, Will Self sort of pointed something out about this back in 2019 when he clashed somewhat with Mark Francois, Brexiteer.
Well, I mean, it is Brexit in a point of fact. I mean, you know, Mark may decry this, and I believe
to do with Brexit.
Mark may decry this, and well, it actually has. It's got a lot to do with Brexit.
How?
Well, because since 2016, your problem really, Mark, is not that you have to be a racist or an anti-Semite to vote for Brexit. It's just that every racist and anti-Semite in the country did.
I think that's a slur on 17.4 million people.
It's not.
And I think you should apologise on national television. I think that's an outrageous thing to say.
Oh, well, you seem to find a lot of things outrageous, though, don't you?
But Will, is it fair to say that?
Are you saying that 17.4 million people are racist and bigots?
No.
They...
Mark Francois can't understand the difference between every Brexiteer is racist or every racist is a Brexiteer.
Voted to leave the European
No,
Union.
that's not what I said.
That's pretty close to what you said.
What did you say?
It's not remotely close to what I said.
So what exactly are you saying?
You seem to be a little exercised.
Well, because I'm offended.
Well,
Well, say it again so we can
the
all
politics of
hear what you're saying.
offence.
All right, well, look, let me move...
What I said was that every racist and anti-Semite in the country pretty much probably voted for Brexit.
And how
That's
do you know,
all.
and
That
how
doesn't
do you know
mean
that and a secret ballot?
I don't know
How
it.
do you possibly know that?
I suspect it.
You know it by asking them. Is a secret ballot. No, you just ask them. If you ask enough Brexiteers enough questions, you get always to the point of refugees, immigrants, immigration. We don't want these people around here. Now, does that mean that every Brexiteer is a racist? No, it doesn't. But Will Self here is correct. Pretty much every racist is a Brexiteer. And they got exactly what they wanted with this new policy of sending refugees, desperate people, to Rwanda, out of sight and out of mind. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.